Mario has been chucking shells and pulling off power slides for almost 2 decades, but he's not the only mascot competing in cartoony kart racing. Sonic's trademark speed usually comes by way of his bright red sneakers, but he and 19 other SEGA characters are jumping in vehicles to steal a bit of Mario's lightning, or thunder.
It's the spear you should fear, my friends! Shadow's Chaos Spear!
The inspiration between Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing is clear, but this fast and chaotic racer is able to stand out because of excellent track design, tight controls, and a bunch of recognizable characters. There is a bit too much reliance on the Sonic franchise. A third of the characters and tracks are Sonic themed, and the items are a bit dull, but this is still a darn good time for people craving intense kart racing. The selection of characters is eclectic in All-Stars Racing. There are a whopping 7 entrants from the Sonic franchise. The hugely popular Blue Hedgehog and his evil nemesis Eggman certainly makes sense, but the forgettable pals Amy and Biggs the Cat may be scraping the barrel a bit deep. The rest of the cast is just as strange. Virtua Fighter heavyweights Jackie and Akira share a fancy red convertible, but not everyone else is quite so well known. Opa Opa from Fantasy Zone hasn't been seen since the 80s, and the zombie duo Zubio and Zubiko are from House of the Dead X, a game that hasn't even been released in America. The playable characters do a good job of mixing popular with obscure, but it's a shame such great SEGA franchises as ToeJam and Earl, Phantasy Star, and Daytona are nowhere to be seen. All-Stars Racing may not be able to please everyone when it comes to available characters, but the courses are sure to please fans of crazy racing. The 24 courses have tight corners, wild jumps, and helpful shortcuts to make racing a lot of fun. Although the early courses are certainly easier than some of the stuff that crops up later in the game, none of them are so easy that they are boring for more experienced players. The raceways are cramped enough to make sure you'll have to bump fenders if you want to stay in first, and you'll have to be careful you don't slam into debris or fly clear off the course.
Nobody's perfect!
There's also good variety in the track themes. Racing in the House of the Dead sewers and the blindingly bright Samba de Amigo world is pretty awesome. Though, like the characters, it would have been cool to see a bit more franchises given the racing treatment. The course design is really well done in All-Stars Racing, but it's the responsive controls that bring everything together. Speeding around the track is a joy because the characters respond so effortlessly to your commands. Boosting is particularly well done. If you hold the drift button around corners, you slowly build up your boosting power, which means you can rocket forward when the road straightens out again. You don't have to worry about wiggling the stick either. It's a solid method that takes skill but won't tire out your thumb. There are a few issues with the controls though. The collision detection is a bit off, so if you scrape against the wall you may find yourself stuck for several excruciating seconds until you can make your way back onto the track. Also, you don't have a proper brake button. Hitting drift slows you down, but if you ever need to slam on the brakes in a hurry, there's no such option. These are small gripes, so they do crop up from time to time.
Got an all-star loose, and when we're in all-star, no one can hear you scream!
Unfortunately, the items are not as interesting as the courses. There are missiles to shoot forward and mines to drop, but they're pretty standard and don't add much to the experience. Each character has their own all-star move if you find yourself way behind first place, and this does add a bit of personality. Sonic, for instance, uses Chaos Emeralds to transform into Super Sonic for a bit, and Ryo Hazuki ditches his motorcycle for a forklift. Even though these special abilities look cool, most of them boil down to just giving you a prolonged speed burst, which isn't very interesting. Single player is composed of a 6-cup Grand Prix challenge, as well as missions that give you different objectives to strive for. For instance, you may have to collect coins or hold a long drift. The missions do a good job of breaking up the action, giving you something else to do aside from just racing. It's just a shame you can't compete in these events with a friend. There's no way to play cooperatively through the Grand Prix or missions with a buddy, which loses some of the appeal. But at least there are a bunch of competitive modes, either online or offline. Online, you're restricted to just racing, though you can disable computer opponents, items, and even rubber banding if you want. Split screen is a bit more diverse though. You can still race, but there's a battle mode as well, and a few objective-based match types. The objective matches, such as King of the Hill and one where you must collect Chaos Emeralds, aren't much more than a novelty. but racing against friends is always more fun than going against a computer. The Wii, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360 versions are all basically identical. On the Wii, you can play as your Mii and use motion controls if you prefer, but the features are the same aside from that. The 360 version lets you play as Banjo and Kazooie or your avatar, while the PlayStation 3 version has just the 20 SEGA characters with no bonuses. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing is a really fun kart racing game. The varied courses and smooth controls make it a blast just to drive around, and the crazy collection of characters does a good job of covering the long history of Sega. There are lots of unlockables to strive for as well, which gives a single player a bit of longevity. But at its core, this is a competitive game, and going against a few friends is where the experience really shines. All-Stars Racing may not be the most inventive game around, but it's so good looking and fun that it hardly matters.